How you all doing today? I want to talk to you about two symbols, um, very important in symbol history here. And I wrote some stuff down so um, to make sure all the dates are right for you. The first one I'm going to talk about is called a Zilco symbol. What is that, Zilco? Well, anybody in the industry um, recognizes would probably think Zilco's Zildjian Company. That's what I mean. That's how I remember it anyway. Um, this is an 18-inch. It's an 18-inch Zilco symbol made between 1968 and 1970. Um, uh, you can't really see it there, I don't think. Anyway, um, there's like a sword that goes like that. Um, it says Zilco in block letters by Asco, and then under that it says Canada. So what is this? Um, it is a great symbol. I'm a pasty guy, but this is a great symbol in the fashion of Zildjian in the 1970s. Um, as I said, it's unhammered. It's just lathed. I picked this one up in Boston a long time ago, probably like 20 years ago. $33. And I knew what it was. Not as much as I know now, but I knew what it was back then, enough to know that I should pick this. I should take this. So I took it. 33 bucks. I remember that. How could I remember that? Because they had written in marker here 33. Yeah, you can't see it, but it's you can see it if you're sitting here. So anyway, um, now there's some confusion about what this symbol is because Zildjian. There's a few things that make this confusing. Zildjian used that word Zilco twice in their history. In the 30s, they started to use that word, um, and I remember even seeing a flyer saying, best. Uh, uh, can beat any imported symbol. Quality better than any imported symbol of the time. Zilco symbol. Um, so they started this thing in the 30s. Zildjian, right? Coming from Istanbul. Um, and then that stopped. And this symbol, they brought it back. Zilco. They brought that word back between 1968 and 1970. Zilco. And you might find, I seem to find a lot of these 18-inch symbols around. Um, this one, they're kind of hit and miss because it's the B20 alloy, so it can be more gongy than others. So you got to check it out. It does have a nice crystal kind of shimmer, like a lot of the quality symbols of Zildjian in the 70s, um, and 60s. Um, Now, the ASCO Canada, what's that about? Well, um, Zildjian is made of two brothers. After the head honcho passes away, you have Armin Zildjian and you have Robert Zildjian. And Armin Zildjian acquires presidency of Zildjian in 1978. And at that time, well, I guess there was a falling out shortly after, and I don't know why, but anyway, Robert Zildjian goes to, I don't know why he's crying. Hold on, maybe I think it's okay. Um, uh, what was I saying? Robert Zildjian goes to or is in Canada. And they had a falling out. So what happens is they decide to split, and Robert stays in Canada. Armin Zildjian stays in the other factory in Quincy, Massachusetts. Now, what's really interesting is up until that split, the cymbals were being made in Quincy, and they were being sent to the Canadian factory in New Brunswick, in Canada, to finish. K's were finalized in the Canadian factory, if you can imagine that. Um, uh, so this is why it's a Zildjian cymbal made in Canada, because Zildjian initially was between the two, Quincy, Massachusetts, and New Brunswick, Canada. Um, after the split, um, Robert Zildjian um, creates Sabian. And Sabian is, to this day, a very prosperous company. Sabian is essentially, um, uh, well, it's the brother of Armin Zildjian, Robert Zildjian, and to this day, very prosperous, making Sabian cymbals. And I remember when I was in the 90s, when I was just starting out, I dug Sabians a lot. I remember having an AA ride cymbal, which is one of Sabian's like main forces when they came out. They were AAs. If you ever find an AA symbol, capital letters, uh, that's one of the first Sabians. Um, Not the first, but it's in the front line. Um, so uh, that's the deal. That's why you have a Zildjian cymbal made Canada. Um, uh, Even to this day, I've had some other Sabians. I had a crash too, a hand hammered crash. So anyway, this Zilco thing, it's a great cymbal. Hold on, I think there's somebody here. I think that might be something for me. Hold on, I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back. Sorry about that. A little package, a little delivery. Wasn't the drum, but moving on. So where was I with the Zilco cymbal? Zildjian, good quality cymbal, and Sabian. Now the second cymbal I want to talk about is this one. Look at that. This is called, it's a hand-hammered Sabian cymbal that I picked up called a duo ride. Now, I originally picked this one up back in college, probably late 90s. Yeah, because at the time, I was um, friends with a guy named Chris Punis. I lost track of him. He was a great guy, older than me, and he had the cymbal, and I really dug it, and so I got one. We would listen to Coltrane and Interstellar Space and Love Supreme endlessly. Um, we were both taken from Ian. Anyway, so he had the cymbal, and I wanted it, so I picked it up. I got it, and it's a great a great cymbal. I'm now less of a B20 guy, more of a B8 guy, but it is a great cymbal if you like that sound. And but it's also a part of history. In my opinion, Sabian is one of the first companies to come out with this concept, which is what it's part of the cymbal is not lathed and just hammered, like a rood of a pasty, right? Broods are they're all this. Um, and the other half is lathed. So duo ride, I guess that's where they got that from, right? Um, and I'm pretty sure if it's not the first, it's definitely one of the pioneers. One of the first cymbals to ever do this. And since then, now it's like crazy and colors and all kinds of stuff. Sabian would go later on. They kind of hypnotized me with another when Terry Bozzio got into Sabian and started doing the lathing process. Actually, it wasn't lathing, but the lines would go down like this. It's a wonderful kind of cymbal. Check out Terry Bozzio. You'll see those cymbals. Radia, I think they're called. They're awesome. Very, very special cymbals. Anyway, long before Radia, I think, this comes out, right? Now this is, you can hear it. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even play the other one for you. Hold on. Listen. The sound it's not as solid as a B8. There's some mystery in this cymbal. That a B8 is more, it is what it is. But it's good. It is a nice cymbal. I used this for a gig a long time ago with the band, and it worked out really, really well. Now I don't use it that much. I just keep it because it's part of history. So you have that one, and then you have this one. Now this one, technically speaking, before I play it, it's unlathed here, so immediately dark. It's going to have a dark thing to it because a dark and dry thing to it. The lathing brings up the high frequencies. So this is immediately, there's going to be a portion of the cymbal that's going to be in the low register. The hammering is going to dry it out even more because as the sound is trying to get to the edge, it's going to encounter these hammer marks. It's going to interrupt them, slow the vibrations down, make them a little bit more, make it darker. It's going to make that vibration darker, slower. On top of which you have a small bell. So this small bell is going to mean that the cymbal is it's as opposed to having a large bell, which would make the presence of the cymbal even more, that initial the fundamental sound even stronger. Now it's a smaller bell on on a cymbal with I'm getting tongue tied. Half of which is unlathed. So we're already starting out really dry and dark. Now, what's cool about this cymbal is that from that you have lathing. And so essentially it takes that really dry, really dark sound and it adds some shimmer to it. That's kind of cool. So it doesn't have a complete shimmer. It's not, like the Zilco cymbal. This being Sabian, it's coming from the same factory as the Zilco cymbal, right? Sabian being in Canada. So this one, even before I play it, with those things, when you understand how cymbals are made, you should say dark, dry, small presence with a shimmer. And it being B20, it's going to have a gongy thing to it, more so than a B8. Let's check it out. There's the gong. See that? And it's thin. It's the good choice, because if it was thick, if they upped the grams of this cymbal, it would be very pingy, and but because it's a B20, but it has a delayed kind of opening. See? As opposed to, this was all lathed, no hammering, should be higher. There you go. Now, the fact that it's B20, both of them, adds that gongy thing, no matter what. If it's a small cymbal, large cymbal, it's still going to have that gongy effect to it, reminiscent of gongs a little bit. A customs are kind of like that the gongy thing, but the quality, the highest quality sound you can have of that gongy thing. They have a delayed resonance. You hit them, and they somehow open up like a gong does a little later, like that. So you have A custom crashes. That's what happens. It's unlike B8s. B8s don't do that. So that's kind of interesting because it means you hit the cymbal and there's a delayed there's not an echo, but they open up at a slower rate maybe than B8s. B8s have something different. Anyway, so and it also really depends on the thickness of the cymbal, how that resonance happens, if it's immediate or not. Anyway, so this one is a Sabian duo ride, right? I put rivets in it, and it has a wonderful. When you add a rattler or rivets, it creates a really nice effect cymbal. It can sound like waves on the ocean. It really does. It's really nice. Um, um, Now, I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't know, but Sabian, um, one of the first cymbals, I'm sorry, the first drummer that Sabian picks up to endorse its own line, right? That drummer's line is Jack DeJohnette, and you have Jack DeJohnette encore cymbals, and they're amazing. They're really amazing. Why am I talking about that? Because, in my opinion, like I said, this is just me throwing it out there. This part is very reminiscent of a Jack DeJohnette cymbal, without having that golden kind of sandy kind of finish to it. It's very reminiscent of the hammering marks, and just I don't know. There's something about this. DeJohnette cymbals are the lathing is finer in a sense, and this hammering goes all the way down to the edge here. It's not a dual ride, obviously, but there's something very reminiscent about this. If you were to add that kind of golden, sandy, velvety kind of finish to this part, it would be very DeJohnette-y. And DeJohnette cymbals are typically very dry cymbals, which is what you get with this part. Um, I don't know. Predecessor of the DeJohnette thing? I don't know. But anyway, it's a very cool cymbal. Now this cymbal, it records very well. If you go online, check out quality recording videos of it, mycymbal.com, and some other Memphis shop. I think maybe they do some too. You'll see that it can record very well. You can control the frequencies of this cymbal, and it turns out to be a very wonderful stick sound, a very nice jazz cymbal. In recording, I find that in live situations, it's a different situation. It's different, but it is a wonderful recording cymbal. But it does have a certain kind of effect. So it's not going to go with all the styles. It's not going to go with, you can't just go play a gig that has pop, rock, jazz, funk, R&B, soul, country in it and use the cymbal as your ride cymbal. It's not going to work. There's too much of a gonginess to it. It's more so a good jazz cymbal and an effects cymbal. It could be a good cymbal for electronic music, but that the low end and the dark part of it keeps it out of the pop rock thing. I've used it for a crash. I like big crashes, and it is a nice. It does have a nice crash presence, but I'm not really into the B20 sound anymore. Although I do, I hold on to them because they're part of drumming history, and I dig it. So, that's what that's all about. Sabian. This is an important Sabian cymbal. Because as I said, I'm pretty sure they were one of the first companies to do this. Zildjian, incidentally, doesn't really go into this thing. They are pretty much a hammering lathing company big time hammering company, but not so much like this. Sabian's got a lot of effects, a lot of mysterious effects, cymbals, uh, cool stuff, nice spices in their production line. But ultimately, or Zildjian, and Zildjian is ultimately Sabian. You know, it's kind of like they're brothers. Um, but there is a subtle difference, and check it out. Check it out. Very top quality cymbals. Top quality B20 cymbals. So I wanted to share that with you today. Sabian Duo Ride, and this really interesting Zilco Crash Ride from Canada. Both of them from Canada. One of which, back in the day when Zildjian was still doing stuff in Canada. That's it. So, happy drumming. More coming up soon. Happy cymbal searching. And I got a great video coming up about a new vintage drum that I'm picking up in the mail. I thought it was going to come today. Normally it should. Anyway, more news soon. Take care, everyone. Ciao.